Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It's time to start the first set of trials, because it's a two-parter. Ah! The trials are officially long. February 23rd, 9:34 a.m., District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. How did the investigation go yesterday, Mr. Wright? Frankly, there are still a lot of gray areas. Or rather, the whole thing is one big gray area. Don't worry about me, no matter what the outcome. I'm ready to accept my fate. I believe in you, sis. Mr. Wright, let me offer you a word of advice. Yes? A defense attorney should never believe their client. The defendant is called to trial because they are suspected of wrongdoing. Never forget that. Miss Skye, you remind me a lot of Mia. But there is one decisive difference between you and her. And that is, you're not a defense attorney. I believe it's almost time for the trial. Good luck, Mr. Wright. My first trial without a Fae to help. No one's going to bail me out this time. I'll be alone in there. So I have to discover the truth all by myself. Let's do it, Mr. Wright. I'll be with you the whole way. Alrighty. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor. Edgeworth. Ah! Ugh. My controller fell. It's been 2 months, but I haven't been in a courtroom since his trial. I hope that personal feelings will not be a part of the proceedings today, Mr. Wright. I will choose the path I think is right, regardless of what those around me might say. The judgment to be made here is in our hands, not those of anyone else. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. Your opening statement, please. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye has committed an unpardonable crime. Not only this, but she was rash enough to commit it in the prosecutor's parking office lot. Wow, he's much more forceful in person. I suddenly feel like confessing to everything. However, she will now pay for her rashness with her life. There was a witness to her crime. A professional witness. Well then, call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution calls its first witness, Miss Angel Starr, to the stand. A cough-up queen? Have I seen you somewhere? You ordered the caviar lunch, right? Oh, caviar! I've never eaten caviar before. The judge is really wolfing it down. Oh, and for you, I have a Fiesta Bowl. Thanks. Will the witness state her name and profession? Ah, and you, sir? Did you order the fingerprint lunchbox? It's too early for lunch. Your name and profession, please. Well, Your Honor, how does it taste? Well, this is why everyone raves about caviar. It's so tasty it hurts. I always thought caviar would taste like pickled tapioca. What the heck does pickled tapioca taste like? Name, profession, now. Me? The name is Angel Starr. Don't go forgetting it. I find myself running Lunchland these days. Is that what you wanted me to say, Mr. Edgeworth? Very well, witness. Please describe the incident to us. The prosecution will wait. I'm not finished eating. Hurry it up. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. As you know, we usually call on the police to provide a description of the crime.
Your Honor, as Mr. Edgeworth has said to the court, I am a professional.
What exactly does that mean?
Until 2 years ago, Miss Angel Starr was a special investigator with the police. She was a first-rate homicide detective. What? Miss Starr was a detective?
Aha! I know who you are. Cough Up?
Cough Up Queen Angel Starr, Your Honor. Long time no see.
Very well. You may continue with the description, Miss Starr.
Just who is this lady? If I might have the court's attention over here. The parking lot at the prosecutor's office is divided into 2 blocks. Block A is for the prosecutor's office personnel. Block B is for visitors and clients. A chain divider separates the 2 blocks.
I suppose that's what keeps visitors from taking up prosecutor spaces, yes?
The crime took place by a car in the back of A block in the car's trunk. The killer stabbed the victim with this knife and went to drive the body out. Unfortunately for her, there was a witness, and an arrest was made on the spot.
And who was this valiant witness?
Why, it was me, Your Honor.
Parking lot floor plans. Parking lot with Edgeworth's car. Witness, did you see the very moment of the crime?
Of course, Your Honor. Immediately after that, I apprehended the chief prosecutor.
Seems rather cut and dry, doesn't it? Well, Mr. Wright. I can't agree on principle, Your Honor.
It seems that some poor losers are unwilling to accept the truth, Your Honor. Shall I proceed to crush what little hope they have remaining?
If you can, then give them your worst, Miss Starr.
Wait, are they talking about me? Witness's account. Somehow, I always knew a day like this would come. I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend when I sensed something. Perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition at work.
Christ, making it look so evil.
Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car. The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. Then, she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest.
Bringing a lunchbox to your boyfriend. How touching.
As you can see, there is no room for doubt.
The key point to your testimony seems to be nothing other than point of the knife which you saw being stabbed into Detective Goodman.
How does it feel to be so utterly crushed?
I'm still thinking about that.
It's merely a flesh wound, Mr. Wright.
Very well, Mr. Wright. You may cross-examine the witness.
Witness's account. Somehow I always knew a day like this would come.
How did you know?
I respect the prosecutor's basic abhorrence of crime, yet their methods are ugly and twisted. Twisted methods will always lead to tragedy. The lunch lady's uninformed opinion is duly noted. Given that they are used to erasing inconvenient evidence at their whim. Killing off a detective that knew too much is merely an extension of that. Miss Starr, do you have something personal against prosecutors? I felt that I had found my dream job when I became an investigator. And if I hadn't been laid off by those prosecutors over there, I'd still be one.
Laid off? She was fired?
To me, prosecutors are nothing more than worms. That said, I am a pro, as you know. My testimony is unbiased and flawless.
Very well. You may continue, Miss Star.
I was on my way to deliver a lunchbox to my boyfriend.
This boyfriend, he's the detective?
Not that boyfriend, the security guard.
Well, that boyfriend? You have several?
Yes, this boyfriend, that boyfriend, and the other boyfriend. Care to join? And yet another boyfriend position is still open for applicants.
I'll stick with the lunches, thanks.
Note to self, the judge had to think before replying. The security guard room is in the lot, in A block. It's up on the second level, so you can see everything from there.
That would be the room with the security sign. Incidentally, did you bring your lunchboxes by car?
Since I'm a visitor now, I parked in B block. So, she was in B block when she witnessed the crime? When I sensed something, perhaps it was my finely honed detective's intuition at work.
You sensed something? So you're saying you had a premonition of the murder?
It felt like... how would you say? Oh yes. It was like the feeling you get when you view a pumpkin chock full of seeds.
I have no idea what that means. Speaking of a detective's intuition, wasn't the victim, Mr. Bruce Goodman, also a detective?
Yes, well, he was like a young cheese.
Young cheese?
A pale white cheese, not yet tangy with experience on the streets. A greenhorn.
And I must be hard-yellowed and sharp as a tack?
Yeah, with the odor of an old cheese to match. In any case, there, in the lot, I felt something stirring in the back of my mind. Through the wire fence, I saw the chief prosecutor standing next to a garish car.
By garish car, you mean...
Mr. Edgeworth's car, yes.
Mr. Edgeworth?
Incidentally, the knife with which the victim was stabbed was also Mr. Edgeworth's. Wasn't it?
Indeed, it was. What an odd case this is. And the person you saw, you were sure it was the defendant?
I saw her from no further than 30 feet away. I'm certain it was her.
If she's telling the truth, we're doomed.
Let's just do what we can. Even if we don't have any proof, we can always nitpick.
Witness! In your testimony, you clearly stated the following. Prosecutors are nothing more than worms. Ergo, you are a biased witness.
You might want to keep those silly opinions to yourself in the future, rookie.
Huh? Rookie?
Unless you're willing to risk the consequences of doubting me. I'll fry you like a fritter, crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside.
That was inspiring.
I believe I've heard that tagline elsewhere. You could cry plagiarism. I may be relegated to the lowly post of lunch lady, but my instincts are honed.
A photograph! You took this!
The moment I witnessed the crime, my reflexes took over, and snap, I took a picture. In fact, one of my lunchboxes is rigged with a camera.
I suppose that's more exciting than just hanging it around your neck.
Witness, why am I only seeing this photograph just now? You think I'd show it to you? A prosecutor? Think again. My boyfriend works in the photography division of criminal affairs.
Well, this is most certainly the defendant. The moment of the crime is photographed by Angel Star. Uh-oh, this is unmistakably Lana Skye.
So what was the defendant doing at the time? The chief prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand.
Tell me more about this knife that the suspect was carrying.
Well, I'd say the blade was about 4 inches long. Is that right, Mr. Edgeworth? It is your knife, after all. Yes, that's about right. Prosecutors are, by nature, well versed in the location of a man's vital organs. I'm sure it was easier than boiling an egg for my egg salad surprise set. You can't testify as to her ability to kill an egg. I mean a person. Perhaps a chicken salad set would have been a better metaphor. So the defendant was holding a knife. What then? Then she thrust the pointy tip of the knife into Detective Goodman's chest. Tell the court why you didn't try to stop this crime. You did see her raise the knife to strike, no? The defense has a point. Unfortunately, by the time I realized what was going on, it was already too late. Too late? Yes. The next moment, the chief prosecutor brought down the murder weapon. I see. It's only a flesh wound, Mr. Wright. We can make it. You said that before. Anything else? Scientifically speaking, Miss Starr's testimony is flawless. Sounds pretty fatal to me. What do we do? Is this it? Is my sister guilty? Let's just keep our heads cool and press the witness a bit, shall we? For some reason, having her panicking next to me makes me calmer. Don't smile like that! Somehow I always knew the day would come. Standing next to a garish car. Chief Prosecutor was holding a knife in her right hand. And you witnessed this? You saw Miss Skye stab the victim with the knife. As I've already said, yes. I swear it on my finest salmon roll lunch. I'm sure that is a fine lunch. But isn't that odd? Look at this photograph. This is the photograph you took at the very moment of the crime, is it not? Then why is Miss Skye not holding a knife? Mr. Edgeworth, your thoughts? Objection. That had to be the weakest objection ever, Edgeworth. Yet it is still stronger than your ever feeble mind, Mr. Wright. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photograph was not taken the moment before the stabbing. It was taken the moment after the stabbing. And how can you tell that? Blood splatter. Huh? See the dark crimson stains on the chief prosecutor's coat? But it's a black and white photograph. Oh, yes, it's hard to tell, but this could be blood. Well, Mr. Wright, I see no problem here. No problem, except you. Mr. Wright, are you going to just sit there and take this kind of abuse? You got a better idea? Okay. First missable one in this trial. I just say no problem. Now that you mention it, I see no problem here. Other than myself. Mr. Wright, you can't just let him walk all over you. That's just sad. Feeling sad, Mr. Wright? Perhaps a bittersweet first love lunchbox is in order. Well then, that was a waste of time. Let's continue with the testimony. Perhaps I should have dug a little deeper. I wonder if they'll react to, we literally were just over this. As I've already said, yes, I swear Okay, it's just the same. Wait, that contradicts what the witness said in her testimony. Okay, hang on. I'm looking for the next missable. Okay, it's this one. Okay. Namely, that she took the picture the moment she witnessed the crime. Well, it seems I was slightly unclear. My apologies.
That's it?
If you run out of lunch, your order seconds. Problem solved. If you don't like it, try ordering the jumbo-sized lunch from the get-go. Good advice. I'm not sure I understood it, but good advice. I don't have time to stop her. I didn't have time to stop her. Prosecutor Skye was cold, calculating, like a robot. She killed without pain or remorse. It was a premeditated murder.
Premeditated? How do you know?
Look at the chief prosecutor's hands in this photograph.
Oh, are those gloves?
Surgical gloves made of thin rubber, most likely. Why would she have those on? If it was not premeditated, she would not be wearing those gloves.
Those gloves do seem to be a tell of a tale of premeditation.
Premeditated murder. A serious offense.
Witness, add this to your testimony.
The murder was planned. The rubber glove proves it.
What if she was just in the habit of wearing gloves? Like driving gloves?
The gloves were admitted as evidence when the defendant was arrested. They were rubber gloves of the kind used for autopsies. In other words, when the chief prosecutor came to the crime scene, he came to do murder. It's the only possible conclusion one can make. Everything was planned. It was a premeditated crime.
Impressive. I'm sorry they took you off the force, Miss Starr. This is bad. He's got them thinking it was all planned. If we can prove this claim, the trial's already over. I've got to think of a way to show that this wasn't premeditated.
Somehow I always knew this day would come.
Yeah, that's easy.
Witness, do you know what this is? Are you trying to test me? I sell lunchboxes for a living, you know. That's a knife. The knife. The knife that was in Mr. Edgeworth's trunk. Indeed, it is my knife.
What's with this case? The bloody murder weapon, a red car, all belongs to the prosecutor there.
The defendant is the chief prosecutor for the district, right? Mommy, are prosecutors bad people?
The defense has a request. We ask that the witness provide an accurate testimony.
What's that, rookie?
In your testimony, you stated that Lana Skye planned this murder, and that's why she was wearing those special gloves. Looks like a natural conclusion to me. The gloves do indicate planning. However, why would she not also prepare the most important thing? The murder weapon.
Oh.
This knife just happened to be in the trunk of that car. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to plan a murder, you don't forget the weapon. Order! 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 Great. Now the tide is turning in our favor.
Great show, Mr. Wright. My sister's as good as free.
Emma. Like, literally all we're proving at this point is that it wasn't premeditated. The only thing we're proving is that she only deserved 20 years instead of 40. That's all we're proving. We haven't gotten anywhere.
Right. I believe the next lunch you'll be eating is humble pie.
What?
I hope you weren't deluding yourself into thinking that the tide has turned. Not over such a trifling detail.
But this shoots a hole in the whole premeditated theory.
The prosecution could care less if it was premeditated or not. The only one who seems to care is that lunch lady over there. The defendant, Lana Skye, murdered a detective with a knife. That is the only thing the prosecution need prove. Nothing else. Very good, Mr. Prosecutor. I suppose you think you're clever now. But you know as well as I do that she planned on killing him. It was planned. If it wasn't, why would she have been wearing...
I believe I'd like to hear your testimony again.
Witness, please tell us only what you saw, not what you thought. How dare you? My powers of deduction are not to be underestimated.
Really now? Angel's deduction.
Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim. Nothing else could drive the human machine to plunge the knife in again and again.
The victim was summoned from the police department to the prosecutor's office. It does sound a lot like premeditation, doesn't it?
So if I ordered pizza, does that mean I'm planning to kill the delivery boy?
In any case, the defense may now cross-examine the witness.
Angel's deduction. Lana Skye intended to murder Detective Goodman. You said that, but you haven't told us how you know. That's what I'm about to tell you, rookie.
I believe what she said was a mere prelude to the story she is about to tell. Try not to interrupt her again.
Rookie. Never interrupt a storyteller. It's like pulling a bun out of the oven half-baked.
Something's half-baked here, alright. And it's you!
Try not to confuse the defense, witness. They're not very quick on their feet. Now, why did you believe the suspect had intentions to murder the victim? Her actions speak for themselves. That's why she called the victim all the way to the prosecutor's office. Oops.
You have no proof that Miss Skye called him there.
You have no proof that she didn't.
Mr. Edgeworth, thoughts?
There is no record of a call made on the defendant, Miss Lana Skye's phone. He might have written him a letter.
Come on, you could have tried public phone first, at least.
In any case, the victim came to the prosecutor's office where he was murdered.
I'm sure he had a reason to be there. Witness, why do you think it was the suspect who summoned the victim that day?
I'm sure the chief prosecutor had a grudge against the victim.
What kind of grudge?
Well, I wouldn't know that.
Of course you don't. That's because you didn't have a grudge.
Rookie. I have a lunchbox here. Now, what's inside?
How am I supposed to know?
See, we agree there is a lunchbox here, but we don't know what's inside. A person's life is like a lunchbox with pretzels. Don't you agree?
I get it. That's why my lunch was so salty. This judge isn't very good with metaphors.
The suspect had a grudge against Detective Goodman. Will you tell us your basis for thinking this? It's simple. Nothing else could drive that human machine to plunge the knife in again and again.
A human machine? That's a contradiction.
Please. Can't you find fault with something of substance, Mr. Wright? Note to self, Mr. Edgeworth's sigh smells like citrus fruit.
You say again and again. How many times did she stab him exactly?
We often say chop into 1,000 pieces, but we don't actually mean 1,000 pieces. What difference does it make if the deed is done?
How come she's getting mad at me? Let's just say she stabbed him several times and leave it at that.
Leave it at that? This is a murder case, people! Mr. Wright, you should speak up if you have an objection, you know.
Miss Starr has turned out to be as short-tempered as she looked when we met her. Challenging her abilities as a detective really set her off.
The short wick burns out the fastest. It's a scientific fact.
I wonder, wouldn't it depend on the size of the candle? I mean, add more wax and even a really short wick will burn longer.
Obviously, more scientific testing is required.
One knife wound. You say she stabbed him again and again. But you couldn't have witnessed that.
Are you testing me? Then I'll test you. With my moss surprise. I'm afraid the moss is growing under our feet as we wait, Miss Star.
What do you mean?
I shouldn't have to explain this, but take a look. The autopsy report states that death was due to loss of blood from one stab wound.
Aha! You're right! Good show, Mr. Edgeworth.
What a hunk! He's my hero, really.
What about my objection? No one noticed? Well, witness.
You got the crime scene set, right?
Oh, thanks.
I always believed that no one would ever mistake ketchup for blood. But now I realize that such mistakes are possible.
So, you're saying you mistook something for blood?
When she lifted her knife, I thought I saw blood at her breast. Splattered blood from her victim. That's why I thought she must have stabbed him at least twice.
Then tell us what you thought you saw was blood. Testify!
Her red muffler looked like blood to me. That's how ghastly the whole scene was.
Her red muffler?
Yes, like a scarf. The chief prosecutor always wears one around her neck. So she could she could be easily hanged at a moment's notice, I suppose.
He's right. This guy was wearing a red scarf, wasn't she? But wait, isn't it odd that you mistook that for splattered blood? Well, people often mistake my beard for a bib. A judge with a bib? That's why this place feels so much like kindergarten sometimes.
Actually, I do think I saw some traces of blood on her chest. However, the autopsy report is clear on this matter. There was only one knife wound.
Apparently, Miss Starr isn't entirely sure of her own testimony.
Mr. Wright, this is our chance.
Chance for what, I wonder? Miss Starr has turned out to be a short-tempered... blah, 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 blah. Miss Starr, I demand an explanation.
The witness is clearly not suited for detective work. What? The suspect was not wearing a scarf or muffler of any kind when she stabbed the victim. And you've proved it yourself with this photograph.
Huh?
But that can't be. Only a professional lunch lady could be so utterly clueless. Congratulations. Perhaps you finally found your true calling in life.
Harsh words, but good.
In the end, Mr. Edgeworth prevails.
What about my objection? What was my objection? Chopped liver?
But it was there. A scarf. No, not that, but something red, really. Well now, where were we? The witness has given us an entertaining interlude, but back to business. What?
Very well, witness. Continue your testimony. You saw the crime and apprehended the suspect. Tell us about that.
Very well. I do remember some things accurately, at least.
Ultimately, we couldn't shake the most important part of her testimony. The most important part? The part where your sister stabs the victim. Next testimony might just be the moment of truth.
After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side. I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot. Ah, yes, when I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Star, resistance is futile.
You're quite determined about this scarf, aren't you?
I strike like a snake and bite like a cobra. That's me, Angel Star.
It wasn't a very good metaphor. First of all, a cobra is a kind of snake.
Don't bother me with details unless you want to get bitten.
No thanks.
Note to self, Mr. Wright is weak against poisonous snake bites. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum.
An oil drum? Hard to imagine.
Oh, she's beautiful but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you will.
Apprehending the suspect. After the murder, the suspect attempted to run behind a partition off to her side.
So where is this partition on the floor plans?
I'm sure she means this wall next to the car.
That's right.
There was a wall there, about 6 feet high. She was obviously trying to hide herself. Quite a natural thing for a criminal to do. And what did you do then? I quickly caught her, explained her rights to her, and arrested her on the spot.
You say quickly. Were you close to the suspect?
As I just said, I was only 30 feet away from her the whole time.
Maybe I should press her for more detail. Leave her alone for now.
How far away was she when she witnessed the murder?
I guess I could just look at the picture to find out. Very well. You may continue with your testimony.
Ah, yes. When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler.
She mentioned the muffler? What exactly did she say?
If I remembered correctly, I would have told you in my testimony.
Speaky.
Anyway, all I heard her say was the word muffler.
Just that one word?
So, what you heard wasn't the suspect talking to you, but to someone else. Yes, the chief prosecutor was talking on her phone.
Her phone? She can't mean... Hang on.
Miss Sky's cell phone. The last number she called was her sister, Emma.
If I press this too hard, who knows who the snake will bite.
The witness may continue with her testimony. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony.
Okay, hang on. So you never saw this muffler? Witness!
As the photograph proves, she couldn't have seen it. That's true. Miss Starr is acting strangely. First she mistakes a scarf for blood splatter, and now she says she didn't see any scarf.
She doesn't strike me as the kind of witness to make careless mistakes either. Just what did Miss Starr see down in that parking lot?
The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Star, resistance is futile.
He made to escape. Can you be more specific?
She brushed aside my hand and ran. It was a terrible sight to see, like a dollop of lard on a pate of foie gras.
A foie gras? Huh?
She even kicked over an oil drum at me.
An oil drum? There was an oil drum lying on the side at the scene of the crime.
But it was strange.
What's that?
If she wanted to escape, why didn't she run the other way?
The other... Ah! The parking lot entrance.
That's right. It doesn't make any sense that she would run from behind the partition to the oil drums. Excellent. More mysteries.
I wish we could solve a few before finding more, though.
So Miss Sky tried to run. I'm sorry my sister is so suspicious, Mr. Wright.
Not as sorry as I am.
But she didn't do it. You have to believe me.
Okay. Okay. Ask further. By phone, do you mean this cell phone discovered at the crime scene?
Yes, ultimately. Ultimately, my memory... It's like a salmon heading upstream, you see.
No, the court doesn't see, Miss Starr.
The chief prosecutor first attempted to use the phone hanging on the wall.
On the wall?
That's right. Near the car, there was an emergency phone on the wall. Apparently, it was out of order.
And so she used her cell phone.
Indeed, the emergency phone was out of order that day.
Good witnessing, witness.
Good witnessing? Whatever happened to good testifying?
You should of course add this to your testimony.
The things I do to please this rookie defense attorney.
The word muffler was overheard during a call made to Emma at 5:18.
I saw it all. How she tried the phone on the wall, but had to use her cell instead.
Do you think you could restate your testimony for the court? I was going to ask the same thing.
I'll only say this one time, so listen close, rookies. The chief prosecutor stabbed the victim and ran behind the partition. Then she picked up the emergency phone on the wall, but it was out of order. So she pulled her own cell phone out of her pocket. And during that time,
you climbed over the chain link fence.
Then, when I boldly grabbed her arm, the chief prosecutor hung up her phone.
And you saw her doing this?
What is it, Mr. Wright? The chief prosecutor made to escape, but against Angel Star resistance is futile.
Okay, hang on. I'd like to see this on the floor plans just to be safe. The Lunchland car was...
She was a visitor, thus she was parked in B block. So you witnessed the murder from here.
I would make it about 30 feet from the car, yes. Is that correct, Miss Starr?
Yes, that's right.
Well, there was a chain link fence in front of you.
I went over it, of course.
Amazing! Kappa Queen Lunch Lady Athlete indeed.
Would have taken her a little time to climb over the fence. So she couldn't have gotten to my sister that fast.
Yeah, the fence was about 9 feet high, too.
How did Miss Sky not get away?
Okay. Miss Starr, I have to conclude that you have a personal grudge against Miss Lana Sky.
The witness is a former detective. Her testimony is unmarred by personal bias. Well, who would have thought you would be my knight in shining armor, prosecutor? You know, together with the chief prosecutor, kicked me out 2 years ago.
Well, Miss Starr, this is a fatal contradiction with your testimony. How do you explain this?
I don't know what you're talking about. Mess with me, and I'll make you cough it all up.
Let's look at the floor plan. You said you witnessed the crime from this point. However, if that's true, you couldn't possibly have seen Miss Sky making that phone call. I believe you see what I'm getting at. That emergency phone was on the back side of this partition. If indeed you were in B block, you couldn't have seen it.
What?
Order! Order! What is the meaning of this? It's simple, Your Honor. She's not coughing up lunch. She's coughing up lies.
That's quite a claim, Mr. Wright. Perhaps you will allow me a question. Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court.
Here's where the counterattack begins. Can't afford to get this wrong. The witness lied about... Okay, so the right one is this middle one, but we don't want the right one. She lied about what she saw. In other words, she didn't see Miss Sky using that emergency phone. It does seem hard to imagine how she could have. Very logical. What's the matter, Star? Cat got your lunchbox?
Mr. Wright, I hate to bother you while you're celebrating your victory. But why would Miss Star lie like that?
Huh?
Why would she say that my sister had tried to use the phone but failed? Doesn't make any sense. Why lie about something so insignificant?
Oh, dang, she's right.
I mean, maybe she really did try to use the emergency phone.
I see no room for doubt here.
You ordered the patooey on rice, right?
Mr. Wright, I thought you had something there. One more try.
I see it in your eyes. You haven't learned your lesson, have you? Tell us exactly what lie this witness has told the court.
So the counterattack begins. She lied about the order of events. She lied about the order of events. This guy used the emergency phone before the murder. Oh, I see. I hadn't thought of that. That took the wind right out of her sails.
Mr. Wright, I hate to bother you while you're celebrating your victory, but why would anyone use the emergency phone before the murder?
Huh?
Just when you think he can't sink any lower, he amazes us. I applaud you, Mr. Wright. You ordered the orange peel lunchbox, right?
I guess that teaches me not to get excited before the evidence. One more try.
Huh. I see it in your eyes, you haven't learned your lesson.
Okay, that should be everything. Okay. Where she saw it. Miss Sky tried to use the emergency phone, but it was out of order. What is significant about this fact? Nothing. Therefore, it would be pointless for Miss Star to lie about it. Pointless to lie. I see. But, say the witness did actually see Miss Sky using the emergency phone. It would mean Miss Star witnessed the crime from a different location.
A different location? Now that's a pointless lie if I ever heard one.
Before you call my lie pointless, at least let me tell it. Let me ask a question to our clever wordsmith, Mr. Wright. Just where was the witness when she saw the crime? All the testimony I've heard up until now points in one direction. The place from where Miss Star witnessed this crime was here. This is the only place where she could have been. The security guard room?
Indeed, the security guard room in the underground parking lot is well positioned. It's built on the second floor so you can see the entire lot.
She would have been able to see the emergency phone from there. But why there? There are many other places where she could have seen the phone. Not in this case, Your Honor. The witness, not being part of the prosecutor's office, couldn't park in A block. The only place where she could have seen the crime and the back of the partition is here. I remember in your testimony you said you brought a lunch to your boyfriend in the security guard room. Yes? Well, Miss Star?
How many years have I been getting the better of men? To think that the tables could be turned. Today a man has got the better of Angel Star.
Order! Order! Witness! What have you done? You used to be a detective. You should know better.
I'm not turning back. The guilty will be punished, and I'll do what I must to make sure justice prevails.
The guilty. Is she talking about Miss Sky?
Mr. Wright, doesn't this strike you as odd? Why does Miss Star lie? Why did Miss Star lie? It doesn't make sense.
Huh?
She could have just said she saw the crime from the security guard station. It wouldn't change anything.
Exactly. This photograph tells all. It was the defendant who stabbed the victim. The truth still stands. It still stands? I disagree, Mr. Edgeworth.
What?
If a witness is found to be lying, they're guilty of perjury. She knows this. She wouldn't risk that without a good reason. Tell us what her reason was, Mr. Wright. Huh? Me? Who else?
Mr. Wright, let's review what we know.
Miss Starr witnessed the crime from the security guard station. But she lied and said she saw it from B Block. It must make a vital difference. But what? What would change? Not the difference in lighting. Angle of view to the crime. Ooh. Hang on, is there another... I think it does. It changes the distance between her and the scene of the crime. My condolences, Mr. Wright, but one look at the floor plans and it's quite clear. The distance between the scene of the crime and the security and the guard station is 30 feet. I don't see how that would change what she could see. What she saw is not in question here. What matters is the time it would take her to reach the scene of the crime. Miss Starr, you witnessed the crime from the security guard station. Now, how long did it take you to go from there to the scene of the crime where you arrested Miss Sky? Well, witness.
You?
Yes?
You ordered the squid wheels, right?
The quality of my lunches have gone from low to inedible.
I was bringing a PB&J lunch with fresh boysenberry jam to my boyfriend.
Boysenberry for the boyfriend.
He wasn't in the station, so I waited. I witnessed the crime from the glass-walled station. And before I knew what I was doing, I found myself running towards the scene. But the door was locked. I couldn't open it.
Oh my fucking god, what?
That's why I had to go through the visitors' parking in B Block.
That's quite a detour.
It probably took me at least 5 minutes to get to the scene of the crime.
5 minutes? This changes things considerably.
But it was that woman over there in the defendant's chair who stabbed him. I know it. I have photographic evidence. I swear it. I swear it on my finest plastic spork.
You have a point, and the spork is a wonderful invention.
Would you like another caviar lunch?
Absolutely! Uh-oh.
Mr. Wright, you have to do something.
Do I have any evidence to stop this?
– 5 minutes between the witnessing of the murder and the arrest. Think about it.
You can make pasta in that amount of time, if you make it al dente.
I've got lunchboxes that tie pasta into knots, rookie.
A 5-minute blank. Isn't that strange?
Strange.
If you were a criminal, what would you do with 5 minutes, Your Honor? Well, I guess I'd flee the scene. Hey! Don't get the wrong idea, I didn't kill anyone. But you have the instincts of a killer. You would run. But this time was different. Miss Skye dawdled at the scene of the crime. She even had her picture taken. No true criminal would act this way. It's inconceivable. Well then, seems we've come to the end of this testimony. Witness has a grudge against the defendant, and a blank in her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, is the next witness ready to go?
Unfortunately, I appear to have overestimated this witness on account of her professional history. We did it! We screwed that can shut, Mr. Wright.
That was too close. I'm afraid that the cough-up queen has been dethroned. And with that, court is adjourned.
Mr. Edgeworth, you ordered the squid wheels, right?
That's the same one she tried to foist off on me.
I prefer not to take the defense team's leftovers. Anything else to say? I might be able to save you. I have decisive evidence.
What was that? Is this another one of her trick lunchboxes? My apologies, but we have no further questions to ask of you, Miss Starr.
Ah. Is this your jumbo lunchbox?
Whoa! Triple-decker. Out of deference to the witness's determination, I'll allow one more testimony. Let's hear about this decisive evidence.
Like the Lunchland motto says, you won't be disappointed.
What's she going to pull out of her lunchbox this time?
Decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. And now, to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up? 2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was, of course, the victim's. The other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Skye. This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence.
What? There was blood found on the shoe?
Try Lunchland for all your lunch and decisive evidence needs. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Why is this the first time I've heard of this evidence? Simple. As I've already said, I don't trust you with evidence, Mr. Edgeworth. That's why I took the liberty of investigating this myself. And you had blood tests performed? Didn't I mention? I have 3 boyfriends in forensics. In any case, Your Honor, I don't accept this evidence. What? You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. In other words, this shoe is illegal evidence, at least for the time being.
Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth sure is celebrating.
Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. Don't forget, I used to be a detective. As I mentioned previously, this shoe has already been tested by a member of the forensics department. As you can see, it was approved by the police department as of today. Even the general public can produce official evidence, Mr. Edgeworth.
Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. Edgeworth is looking pretty sullen.
You could at least study some evidence law, really.
The prosecution's complaints notwithstanding, it appears that this evidence satisfies the first rule of evidence law. However, seems you have yet another count against you, witness.
Anything to ensure that the guilty are properly judged. White enamel shoe bears traces of blood from Goodman and Lana Skye.
Very well. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Decisive evidence. I should have mentioned those 5 minutes when I wasn't looking at the crime scene. Why did you lie about those 5 minutes? I guess you could say I just wanted people to look at the result. The results? How many times do I have to say this? I saw the chief prosecutor stab the victim before my very own eyes. Compared to that, a 5-minute blank means nothing. Then why didn't you just tell the truth? Don't make me laugh. We're dealing with the most untrustworthy of the vile lot known as prosecutors. Falsified evidence, arranged testimonies, erasing and manipulating evidence. When you fight monsters, you need to use every trick in the book. This when the suspect is admitting he did it?
But false testimony is the most despicable crime of all, Miss Starr. Let's just get this over with.
And now to the matter of the victim's shoe. Did I not bring this up?
And you found the shoe at the scene of the crime?
I detained the chief prosecutor and notified the police department. I wanted to make myself useful while I was waiting for the police to arrive. So, like an ill-trained pooch, you snuck off with a shoe. I was afraid someone would erase the chief prosecutor's crime. This shoe was my secret weapon if that should happen. See this fashionable basket I have here? It carries more than lunchboxes, gentlemen.
I'm happy for you and your lunchbox bag, really. In any case, you removed valuable evidence from the scene of the crime. Now tell us what you did next.
2 types of blood were found on this shoe. One was, of course, the victim's.
So you brought it to the forensics department?
If you're going to submit something as evidence in court, you need it proved. To do that, evidence must be analyzed by a forensics expert.
And she got away with her little coup because she used to be a detective? The shoe does appear to have bloodstains on it.
Well, the man was stabbed after all.
And that blood belongs to the victim, Detective Goodman?
As I said, there were 2 types of blood found on the shoe. And the other blood type matched that of the defendant, Miss Lana Skye.
You can't say for sure the blood belonged to the defendant with a blood test.
You claim to know something about blood tests, rookie.
Huh?
Well, speak up.
Well, blood comes in 4 types, A, B, O, and AB. However, you can't tell from a blood test whether a murder was committed in cold blood. That's just a figure of speech, Mr. Wright.
Actually, we can differentiate between millions of types with all the blood tests out there. Which means we can more or less narrow any sample of blood down to just one person. Or so I hear.
That's pretty specific.
If I had a little more time, I would have gotten DNA test results. But that said, there's very little doubt it could be anyone's but Miss Lana Skye's.
So the suspect's blood was found on the victim's shoe.
That ties her directly to the death of Detective Goodman.
I was afraid he was going to say that.
This shoe proves it. It's flawless, decisive evidence.
I can't let this evidence go through without a fight.
You ordered the peppered fish guts, right? Some like it hot, Mr. Wright. Some like your client. She's in enough hot water to make a whole vat of soup. Mr. Wright, do you or don't you have a problem with this shoe?
A problem? This is critical. Is there a problem with the victim's shoe? With the victim's shoe? I'm actually going to have to save real quick. Because I actually don't know if there is a problem. Hang on. Oh, there's blood here too! On the sole of the shoe. It's gotta be the victim's. He must have stepped in a puddle of his own blood. All this blood. It's horrible. This blood might be an important clue. There is a problem. If I'm not imagining things, I'd say there is one critical problem with this evidence. A clear contradiction. That gleam in your eyes. You're still young, rookie. I'd give you a peppered fish gut now. But you couldn't take the heat, could you? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. What is contradictory about the victim's shoe? What's the problem with this evidence? The problem with this evidence is here. Where? Oh, did I need to point it at the blood? As I thought, waste of time. Well, that was a nice break. Shall we continue the testimony? Okay, turn it over and point it at the blood. Yeah. Dang it! I wonder if you notice there's blood on the bottom of this shoe. Don't mess with me, rookie. Or it'll be your blood on the bottom of my shoe. Indeed, there is quite a bit of blood on the bottom of the shoe. It makes sense. The victim was stabbed with a knife. What could possibly be contradictory about the blood on the bottom of his shoe? The fact that there's no blood on the ground, right? The problem lies in the footprint. The footprint? Note the bottom of the victim's shoe is covered in blood. Then, isn't it strange? Why weren't any bloody footprints found by the scene of the crime? Ah! As you could see, there were no traces of any such footprints at the scene of the crime. That contradicts your claim about this shoe. This picture only shows part of the floor, so there could have been bloody footprints. Then where are they, Mr. Edgeworth? Because we checked the scene and found nothing of the sort. Order! 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 Well, witness? What? Huh? Great going, Mr. Wright. But it's true that the lack of a footprint is a contradiction. But then we have to ask why there wasn't a footprint. Oh, that's true. There has to be a reason why there wasn't a footprint. Think, Mr. Wright. Think! Hey, I don't know why it's not there. I'm just good at finding contradictions. What? I see. Now I get it. Get what? Our witness is more devious than I give her credit for. We were hoodwinked to the very end. But she slipped. There's one vital hint to the truth in her testimony. What are you talking about? Think back to when she told us about apprehending the suspect. The chief prosecutor tried to resist, but her efforts were in vain. She knocked my hands aside, kicked over an oil drum. She was beautiful, but deadly. A predator, this one. A leopard woman. Rawr. I thought that was a strange thing for a normally cool-headed chief to do. No kidding. Now, witness, allow me to ask a very simple question. This oil drum, was it empty? Oh, that.
I'm not sure I like your attitude, Mr. Edgeworth. Though apparently you're not the slowest conveyor belt in the lunchbox factory.
Witness! Well, was the oil drum empty?
The oil drum kicked over by the chief prosecutor was brimming with water.
Oh, water? What does that mean?
Still don't get it, Mr. Wright. Do you want to know the reason she knocked it over? The real reason?
Aha! You don't mean...
Yes, the suspect knocked over that oil drum for one reason and one reason alone. To erase the bloodstains that would become evidence against her.
What? That ties things up quite nicely. The bloodstains left on the victim's shoes tied her quite clearly to this murder. And after the deed was done, she knocked over the oil drum to erase the telltale signs.
Why, that's a prosecutor's specialty, erasing evidence. That reminds me, this guy's right hand was hurt. Didn't he say she'd cut herself when she stabbed him? So that's when my sister's blood got on the shoe?
Well, I see no reason to belong this trial.
Mr. Wright, do something, please!
What? What can I do?
Your sister has confessed to the crime, and she tried to conceal it. But... Enough. There's no need for further debate. The verdict, Your Honor.
Very well.
But Angel Star is on the prosecution's side. She could have been lying about the water.
This court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye.
Little girl. What did you just say? Huh? Me? Did you say that I, Angel Star, was on the prosecution's side? Well, yeah, you are. You're saying my sister hid evidence by erasing the bloody footprints. Well... I thought you had your fill, but here you are, demanding a second helping. Another lunchbox. A lunchbox called evidence.
Wait, witness, don't tell me you have something else.
The time for deliberations is past. Any further comments, and you will be held in contempt of court. Your threats don't scare the cough-up queen. Look at this.
A photograph.
Had it just in case someone had the gall to suggest that the white shoe didn't belong to the victim.
I see no reason for error in this evidence.
Mr. Wright, wait, look at the asphalt in this photo. Hey, it's clearly wet.
Erasing the last trace of doubt from the court's mind. Immediately after the murder, the crime scene was washed with water.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wright. I guess I couldn't help after all.
It's not your fault. I knew I couldn't win this case from the beginning. And seems this is what your sister wanted anyway. I'm sorry, Mia.
Right. Wet or not, don't be so quick to throw in the towel. Get yourself up off the asphalt. Take another good look. Don't give up. Not until the bitter end.
This is the last piece of evidence. Very well. This time I'd like to declare a verdict for good.
Your Honor, wait!
What is it with you people? Can't I hand down my verdicts in peace anymore? Whatever it is, can't wait.
No, it can't. Then it'll be too late. Look at this photograph, the last one submitted. This trial isn't over until we give each piece of evidence proper consideration. So, Wright, are you saying there's a problem with this latest piece of evidence?
Yeah, I'll think later.
Yeah, there's a problem. Right or wrong, I've got to go ahead with this.
I suppose, since we've come this far, we should give every claim a fair shake. Very well, Mr. Wright. Show the court the problem with this photograph. I see this. Is this the problem? The problem in this photograph is here. What's this? There's something poking out of the car's muffler. Wait just a moment, Mr. Edgeworth. Your Honor. You just said muffler. However, I see no trace of a muffler or scarf of any kind in this photograph. A muffler is also part of a car or motorcycle, Your Honor. Just think of it as part of the exhaust system. A pipe. I see. And I see. What's this suspicious looking cloth sticking out of the car's muffler? So what if there's something sticking out of the muffler? What does this have to do with this case? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry, Miss Starr, but it's not going to be that easy. In fact, you've already told us why this is important to the case. You said as much in your testimony. Hang on. Okay. You said as much in your testimony. What? Let's hear what Mr. Wright has on his mind. Tell us why you think this piece of cloth in the muffler is related to the case. Is it related to the lack of her muffler? Well, Your Honor, how do you feel about that? I feel you've wasted our time. Oh. I forgot the phone was updated. Hang on just real quick again. Okay. We have pest control people over, so the dogs will probably bark again. Damn it. Miss Starr, recall your testimony for the court. Yes. When I arrested her, she mentioned the muffler. That's what had me confused in my earlier testimony. Muffler? Could it be that the muffler you heard mentioned was actually this exhaust pipe? If so, that means this piece of cloth is vital evidence. Wah! They're barking again. I don't even think he's outside yet. Well, seems we have to suspend the proceedings. Suspend? I find myself wondering about that piece of cloth. If we leave any questions unanswered, we do a disservice to the law. Have the car at the crime scene inspected at once, and bring me that cloth. The verdict will wait until after we've seen all the evidence. Agreed? I suppose so. That was close. But we made it. At least for now. This court will adjourn for a 30-minute recess. It's lunchtime after all. He's still hungry? To be continued. Wow. I'm gonna save right here. They're barking again. The little shits. I'll be back. I'm back at it. Okay. February 23rd, 11:56 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Are trials always like this with you? Like you're swimming up from the bottom of a lake about to reach the surface, but no matter how hard you paddle, you never seem to get there? Pretty much. Except today we're swimming in quicksand. So what happened to your sister anyway? Apparently she got called off to the judge's chambers. Probably something to do with the piece of cloth. So this is where we turn this trial around, right? Our only weapon, a tiny, insignificant piece of cloth. I'm the one who's starting to feel tiny and insignificant, to tell you the truth. Hola, partner. They say you show a red cloth to a bull, it'll fire up its temper. That's what they told me when I was a youngin', at least.
Officer Marshall.
Thought I'd come to take a look-see at how the trial's going. Looks like I'm late. They've got the home ranch locked down tighter than a fort in enemy territory. That hard to slip out, huh? What's going on over there, anyway? All the police I've seen these last 2 days have been really on edge. Don't you got enough on your plate without worrying about other people, compadre? You could be worrying about the chief prosecutor's taste in mufflers, for example.
Officer Marshall? The whole muffler thing didn't have anything to do with scarves. She wasn't even wearing a scarf.
You don't say. Now don't that just beat all? I've seen the red breeze blow at her slender neck many a time. I saw it that day, too. She was wearing a red muffler.
What?
At the award ceremony that afternoon, Edgeworth seen it too, I'd reckon.
What does that mean? In the photograph taken at the crime scene, she wasn't wearing a scarf. So, Miss Starr wasn't mistaken?
Well, about time. Remember, partner, sometimes you gotta grab the bull by the horns. And sometimes you just gotta let that bull go where it will. Time will tell. I have a bad feeling about this.
So, what are we swimming in now, Mr. Wright?
If it's steak sauce, I can hook you up with some fine ribs. Woo-wee! "12:32 p.m. I'd like to resume? What's up? Just keeps looking over at the prosecution. Uh-oh. Is something wrong, Mr. Edgeworth? Your face is blue, your lips are purple, you're sweating bullets. That furrowed brow, those grinding teeth, those watery eyes. What's more, your eyes are unfocused. You're doubled over. Your back is bent.
It can't be. This can't happen. Wonder what happened, Mr. Edgeworth.
Well then, I believe it is time we continue on with this trial. During our recess, I had requested that the prosecution conduct an investigation.
This is unacceptable.
Seems our prosecutor is quite beside himself.
I think I know who this is.
What do I want to give him? Excuse me. Knock, knock. Knock, knock. Excuse me. Knock, knock. Knock, knock.
He's kind of jovial, for the most part.
Excuse me. Knock, knock. Who's there? What's with this guy? A strange, stuffy aura seems to be filling the courtroom.
Hey, the temperature rose 5.7 degrees when that man came in.
Who on earth is he? Ah, it's you! Oh! Oh! Ha! Sorry I'm late, Udgy. The roads were packed. It's just me. Long time no see, eh, Udgy? How you been? Swim much these days? Oh, hello. No, I've been so busy. Busy, smizzy, Udgy, my boy. You have to take time to relax. Yes, indeed.
Pudgy seems to be his nickname for the judge.
I'm afraid you're right. Very afraid.
Sorry, but who are you?
Ha! Ha! So you're Ratto, the attorney. I've heard good things about you, son.
Thanks.
So sorry about our little Worthy giving you all that trouble, eh? You know, we should all go swimming together sometime. Jolly.
Little Worthy?
Mr. Wright, you don't know the district chief of police?
Chief of police?
He's the top-ranking police officer in the entire district. Name's Gant. Damon Gant. Pleased to meet you, everyone.
Kind of going in and out of his voice, I'm not sure.
So, to what do we owe this honor today? It's been over 2 years since you last came to this courtroom, hasn't it?
Ah, well, it's Worthy here. Look at the poor fella.
I just thought I'd help out by bringing this.
Hey, that's my sister's muffler. The Miss Star wasn't just seeing things. When the crime occurred, Miss Sky really was wearing that muffler.
But to think that it was stuffed into that exhaust pipe.
Oh, on little Worthy's car, no less.
It's really quite embarrassing, even for us. What's this?
It's what you'd call a switchblade knife. Quite perplexing, this. Chief, what kind of outfit are you running?
Mr. Edgeworth,
how could they miss such a vital piece of evidence? If your investigators are this lax, how do you expect us to do our job?
Now, wait a minute, Worthy.
I've no desire to hear your excuses. I'm telling you to wait.
Or didn't you hear me?
Have a look at this document, where it says person in charge of investigation. There's no mistaking that signature, is there? Miles Edgeworth. That's not fair. On the day of the crime, I had
your head in the clouds, 'cause you got that award. I know how you feel. But you're the person in charge.
I'll expect a written apology. What? Are you serious?
Don't be so upset. We'll find a way to clean up this mess that you made.
This is the first time I've seen Mr. Edgeworth at a loss for words.
This kind of major blunder is unlike you, Mr. Edgeworth. Court accepts this new evidence. But I'd like to ask the defense a favor first.
Yes?
Just to be sure. I'd like to take a look at the blade of this knife.
The blade, Your Honor? Well, I don't see why not.
Would you open it for me, I wonder?
Yes, well, I think all you have to do is push that switch and...
If I cut my finger, Mr. Wright, I wouldn't be able to pound my gavel anymore.
Yeah, but if I cut my finger, I wouldn't be able to point it at anyone anymore. Come on, just hurry up and open it. There's a small tag on this knife. Seems to say SL9 too. What does that mean? Well, I've heard something similar. DL6 of DL6 incident fame. But it's strange. Huh? What is it? I'm not certain, but I get the feeling I've seen this somewhere before. Letters like this, or letters that looked a lot like this somehow. What? Don't scare me like that.
I'm the one who's scared.
Look at this knife blade. The tip is broken off. And this dark red stain. Blood? Found at the crime scene, wrapped in the defendant's muffler. Small tag attached. This does not excuse the actions of the police department.
Okay. I would like to hear an explanation from the Chief of Police himself. I'm terribly sorry, but could I ask you to testify for us about the split between the prosecutors and the police? And this knife? Sure thing. Not a problem. Not even a little one, really. Department in disorder. This knife is special, but I can't say how here. Unless there's evidence to prove a connection between this knife and Goodman. That was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do an investigation. A detective was killed at the police department, see? What a mess. Time of the crime? 5:15. Scary coincidence, eh? Not officially linked in this here case, so I can't talk much about it. There was a murder at the police department. A detective? That's hush-hush information, Udgy. We haven't exactly announced it yet. Wait a second. You said 5:15? That's the exact time that Detective Goodman was killed at the prosecutor's office. Order! 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 Anyway, we at the department were all flustered, as you might well assume. We're in the middle of a top secret investigation. Don't tell anyone, okay? I think we understand the police department situation. Well, Mr. Wright, 2 detectives killed at the same time in 2 different places? The chances of that are really slim, scientifically speaking, of course. I'd like to exercise my right to cross-examine the witness. Very well. However, keep your questions focused on the case at hand. Department in disorder. This knife is special, but I can't say how here. Excuse me. Special? Mm-hmm. Hard to come by this particular knife anywhere else. Might that special thing be this little tag? Oh, sorry, Righto, but I can't say that now. Not that. We've established the knife in Goodman's chest was this knife. Now, why was there another knife at the scene of the crime? That's quite a mystery. And like a mystery, it's wrapped in something. A muffler. Unless there's evidence to provide a connection between this knife and Goodman. This knife was found on the scene of our crime. I think that makes it connected to the case, don't you? See, there's a lot of things that go on at the department I can't explain. It's delicate, okay? Sorry, Righto. Maybe there's something about the knife that will give us a clue. Let's examine that knife while we can, Righto. Evidence that links the knife to Detective Goodman. I think perhaps the pieces are falling into place. I should try presenting the piece of evidence that's had me stumped all this time. So how were things down at the department? That was a bad day for the department. We weren't in any shape to do any investigation. Something happened at the police department too, huh? You got a good look in your eyes there, Righto, my boy. Shot. Hungry. So, something did happen. And why wasn't I informed? Why weren't you informed? Well, why didn't you ask? No matter. I understand. You were busy. What with Lana's case and all. Well, what happened? What happened at the police department that day? A detective was killed at the police department. See? What a mess. On the same day that a detective was killed in the prosecutor's parking lot? Another detective was killed at the police department? That's a fact. Surprising, isn't it, Udgy? I'm at a loss for words. And the perpetrator? Do you have a suspect? Well, there was a suspect. Just arrested them, in fact. Just arrested. That was quick. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Maybe you could help, Righto. I suppose I could help. If you help me by giving me data on your case. Oh, good one! This kid's sharp. Okay, here's the deal. I'll tell you one thing, and one thing only. I'm pretty sure it'll just let us constantly go back to this. Where the victim was found. So tell me, where was the victim found? Well, I can't speak on where the corpse was found, but I can say the crime took place in the evidence room at the police department. The evidence room? You wouldn't know about the evidence room, would you, Righto? Can't say I've heard of it. I guess I should ask again once I learn a bit more about this evidence room. There's something stranger about this than the place where the body was found. Time of the crime? 5:15. Scary coincidence. 5:15? But that's when Detective Goodman was killed in the prosecutor's office. What? Funny, isn't it? Murder at the prosecutor's place and a murder at our place at the very same time. What are the chances? Coincidence? This is just my gut feeling, but I'd say there's a 0.001% chance of that happening. Chief Grant, please tell us more about the incident. It's not officially linked to this here case, so I can't talk much about it. How can you say there's no connection? How? Because I'm the chief of police. I can't just say anything I please, Righto. You understand? I don't understand, Righto. Well, if you can prove there's a connection, more power to you. Maybe there is something that ties the two murders together. Whatever it is, I'd better find it and get to the bottom of this. 2 detectives were killed at 5:15, one at the prosecutor's office, and one at the police department. That can't be a coincidence. And that knife, what was it doing here? I better check this knife out. Will it just let us select more? It probably will. Here's the deal, I'll tell you one thing and one thing only. How the victim was killed. Well, how was the detective killed? How was he killed? Now that's an interesting part. It was what we in the force call a stabbing, with a knife. A knife? That's exactly the same as Detective Goodman. That's the spirit. We're cooking now. But you know, that's not the only thing that was exactly the same. What do you mean? There were more similarities between the two cases and the cause of death. Seems like I'm going to have to press this a bit harder. So, when did the murder at the police department occur? Now that's a sharp question, Righto. Very sharp. Well, my boy, you're gonna love this. Unless there is evidence to provide a connection between this knife and Goodman. I present to you a piece of paper. Wait a second. Ah, at last, an honest-to-goodness objection. This knife. This has to have something to do with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? Aha! And honest to goodness, what do you mean for Mudgy? This is great. Look at the tag on this knife. It reads SL92. And this is important. Why? Over here, we also have a memo that was on the body of the victim. What's this? 6 minus 7s, 12 divided by 2? Your Honor, it's upside down. Upside down? The printed name on the memo makes it look like it's right side up. But turn it around and what do you get? Ah! Whoever wrote this note was holding the paper upside down. SL9. That's the same thing that is written on the knife's tag. Order! Order! Well, Chief? Ah, well. I guess the cat's out of the bag. You win, Righto! I win? What game is this guy playing? Knife was evidence in a case, stolen from the department's evidence room. So this knife was stolen? Yes, but on the day of the murder. It was evidence, you say? Was it, in fact, a murder weapon? Nice, nice, nice. Good show, little worthy. It was a murder weapon as it happens. It was evidence from a case long since solved. So the knife was stolen on the day of the murder, and was found in the exhaust pipe of Edgeworth's car. Hard to think there isn't a connection there. That was a bad day for the department. Not officially linked. How can you say there's no connection? How? Because I'm the chief of police. Maybe there is something that has the two murders together. Really? Maybe I have to press the knife part again. How was the detective killed? How was he killed? Well, that's the interesting part. It's the stabbing with a knife. That's exactly how detective... Now we're cooking, but you know, that's not the only thing that's exactly the same. There are more similarities between the two cases and the cause of death. Coincidence? Chief Gann, please tell us more about the incident. It's not officially linked. That can't be the case. Something happened at the police department too, huh? Sharp, hungry. Happened at the police department. How can you say there's no connection? Okay, hang on. Huh. Like, I already know how it connects. Oops. was in the evidence room. The evidence room? Wait a second, I've heard of that. Okay. The evidence room. Didn't he mention that in his testimony just now? Map was evidence in a case. It was stolen from the department's evidence room. There's the connection between the two cases. You seem happy, Mr. Wright. Happy? We just got handed our ticket to go to town on this case. With the link between the two cases established, we finally have some leverage. Now we can get Gann to testify about the details. Not officially linked. Hold it! Chief, the defense's position is simply this. The connection between these two cases has already been proven. Eh? You don't say. Well, out with it, Righto. What is your connection? Yes, out with it, Mr. Wright. Connection is a place mentioned in the testimony we just heard. Knife found in the lot was stolen from the police department's evidence room. Not to mention, the victim had on him the case number on the knife's evidence bag. And we also know that the detective murdered the police department was killed in that very same evidence room. Indeed. There do seem to be too many connections for it to be a coincidence. You two make a good pair. Took my man 2 days to find out what you deduced right here. Chief, I request that you release your information on the victim at the police department. See, that's the tricky part. Hasn't been announced yet. And all. Can we get the information unofficially? Sure, why not? It's unofficial after all. What? Really? Who would have guessed? I'll cooperate, but I can't reveal the name of the victim at the department. Alright? If you're going to tell us a little, why not tell us everything? Ah, well, case information is sticky stuff. You have to do everything properly. Oh well, I guess I might as well try to get what I can out of him. Okay, well, what division was the victim stationed in? Oh, you want to know that, do you? Do you? Aha! Criminal Affairs, Division 1. The detectives responsible for homicide cases. Homicide. That would be the same division as Detective Gumshoe. Detective Goodman, who was killed in the underground parking lot, was homicide too. It's almost like a serial killer was after homicide detectives. Except this serial killing happened simultaneously, scientifically speaking. Well, I sure hope Detective Gumshoe isn't next on the list. 2 detectives... Okay, how about the gender of the victim? You want to know that? Okay. A hint. Let's see. First hint. The gender, that's not female. Aha, he was a guy. What did I tell you? The boy's sharp. Stop goofing around, Mr. Wright. This is serious business. Sorry, Your Honor. Hey, tell that to the Chief of Police. Okay, how about you tell me the victim's ID number? Sure, why not? It's not like you'll be able to tell who it is from that. Of course not. You won't tell me their name after all. We keep a tight lid on ID numbers, so don't go getting your hopes up. The number is... 5842189. Well, that's quite long. We have to remember, and we have to remember these. Drives me nuts. 82. I can't do it. You didn't even get the first number right. Well, Mr. Wright, does this tell you anything? The ID number of the victim at the police department. 5842189. This tells me something. Actually, it does, Your Honor. It does. I think. Meaning... Has to be what I think it is. What does this mean? Well, let's hear what the defense has to say. You say the ID number of the detective who was murdered at the police department tells you something. What does it tell you? Witness. What is it, Mr. Wright? You're grinning like a schoolgirl on prom night. No, it's just... I got confused. And this is news? Huh? Just come out with both guns blazing, like you always do. Police department, the prosecutor's office. 2 places, 2 detectives murdered at one time. Actually, I happen to have a police ID number right here. Oh, is it yours? No, Your Honor. I'm a defense attorney, remember? This is the ID number of our victim, Detective Goodman. Shame on you, Righto. Personal IDs are top secret. Detective Goodman's ID number is 5842189. And? This means what exactly? Huh? Wait, that ID number we heard from the chief earlier. That started with 82. I've forgotten. Didn't even get the first number right again. The number the chief of the police gave us was 5842189. Wait a second, Wright. What does this mean? That's what I want to know. The 2 ID numbers are identical. In other words, the detective killed in the police department's evidence room was Bruce Goodman. What does our witness think about that? Oh ho ho ho! Sharp as a tack, Righto. Sharp as a tack. But wait, Detective Goodman is our victim. He was killed at 5:15 in the underground parking lot. Yet a Detective Bruce Goodman was also killed at the police department, in the evidence room, at the exact same time. That's impossible. So, what we're saying is, the same person was killed at the same time, and in a completely different location? Order! 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 Chief, what does this mean? No. What I want to know is, why didn't I hear about this? Yes, it's top secret, fine, but I'm the prosecutor in charge of the case. Now, just wait a second, Worthy. No need to get all flustered. Your Honor, the police department has made a grave error in this case. Wait. I said wait. Or didn't you hear me? The oversight. The grave error. Mr. Edgeworth. They're yours. What? How dare... We informed you yesterday. I believe it was our Officer Meekins who brought you the news. Officer Meekins? Mr. Wright, where have we heard that name before? Wait. Aha! Excuse me, but is Mr. Edgeworth, anywhere on the premises? I'm here, sir, at the request of the chief, sir. I've got your report, sir. You don't mean him? According to Meekins, you didn't accept the report. Hard to believe. But your officer, he told me. He said the report had nothing to do with the Lana Sky incident. Detective Bruce Goodman murdered in the police department evidence room. Mr. Edgeworth, the victim's name is written right on the top of the report. Why didn't your officer tell me? Honestly, I'm not sure if that officer was capable of making the connection. He did seem challenged. In any case, this is a serious error. A gross negligence of your duty on your part, Worthy. But, sir... You could have submitted that report this morning to the court as evidence. Then I... No such luck this time, worthy. Or should I say, unworthy?
What?
Now, what was the second rule of evidence law, Well, Mr. Wright? Huh? Oh, well, it's,
Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And how is this rule relevant?
Normally, you submit a list of evidence to be used in court before the trial. This report wasn't on that list. So, what does this mean? I couldn't submit this evidence until a connection was proven in court. The connection was just proven by Righto over there. Good job, Righto, my boy. Huh? I was just doing my job.
No. No!
It seems we have come to the end of this trial. I know you're going through a tough time, Worthy, what with all those rumors. You were even in the defendant's chair just this past December.
I apologize for this terrible lack of due diligence on my part.
Mr. Edgeworth!
Please, just give me one day. I'll get to the bottom of what happened, if it's the last thing I do.
You'd better get results this time. Really.
You have my profound apologies, sir. Poor Mr. Edgeworth.
I don't think there's ever been an error this serious in the history of this court. I will grant one further day as the prosecution has requested. Will that be sufficient, Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Whatever your punishment for this is, for your sake, I hope it's not decisive. Very well. Court is adjourned. Yeah! Save progress. Of course. Investigation. 2 hours! 2 hours for just the trial, basically. Oh boy. I'm gonna go grab something to eat, I think, because it's 4 in the afternoon. I'm out of here. Alrighty. So we're on to the second half. Or not the second half, the part 2 of 3. There we go. Part 2 of 3. Couldn't think of, like, the correct word, so I had to do a runaround. I'm confused. I'm just, my brain, it's gone. It's gone. But yeah. We finished the first section, and now we're on to the second. How beautiful. Lovely. And yeah. So I enjoy the case so far. I'm enjoying it so far. I did get kind of confused in the Gantt situation. They had you press the same statement quite a bit. I was waiting for, like, something to change in, like, the testimony or something like that by, like, asking him to put it down. I think that's how future cases do it, where if you're given a choice, like, you can go back and press the original statement and choose a different choice. But when you select that first choice, it will jot down towards, like, the end of the cross-examination. And then you can press that individually or submit evidence individually. Which is why, after I drew the connection between our case and the knife, I was immediately just like, okay, I gotta go to the end and then now present the sheet again that says SL9. And then I was just like, okay, that didn't work. Maybe they want the knife, and then that didn't work. But oh well. They want you to go about this in a certain way. Their way makes sense still, but I think my way also makes sense. I think that's probably one of the biggest problems I had with Rise from the Ashes. The first time I ever played this case was this case compared to any other case that I have played so far. I feel like I had more instances of my way also should have worked than any other case in the series, I feel like. I feel that way about this case probably more so than any other case I've played in the series, at least so far. Uh, Especially considering the entire game, like before this, I think I made like one mistake and it was literally a misclick that I made. So I literally like got through everything, was just like, okay, this, it's pretty straightforward. And then Rise from the Ashes is just like, well, I don't know. I'm still enjoying the case, but I definitely think it's so complex that without being in the exact same state of mind as the person who created it, you wouldn't be able to follow the logic, and you'd end up or following the exact same logic, and you'd end up getting to the same place, but through different means, but the game would stop you because you're not doing it the way the game expects, the way the designer expected. I think that's kind of the problem you get when you get a lot more complex cases, where it's just kind of like, well, this should also work, but the designers expected you to piece these pieces together first. That's just me. That's just me, though. I don't think it's really even a problem, because there's always, in those cases, there's always more situations where it's just like, okay, well, this can work here too. The only problem it happens is when it takes your health bar down, and it's just like, damn it, no. That makes you upset. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you all for watching, especially if you got this far, and stick around, because there's a lot more to come.